I'm Lucia Thompson, board certified family law attorney, divorced mother of 3, and Valley born Latina. And I've dedicated my career to helping men and women understand and overcome the complexities of divorce. Whether you're considering a divorce or living through the aftermath, let's dive in. Child custody cases arise in divorces because people tend to fight for custody of kids in a divorce. And child custody cases can also arise where people aren't married to each other. They just had a child together. And so that's called a suit affecting parent-child relationship because it's a lawsuit regarding the parents and the child. And a divorce is a lot more than that. And then you have the cases where child custody comes into place where you're divorced, but it's been divorced 5 years. We're doing a modification now because something bad has happened. And so the reasons I see people, let me backtrack. People tend to think that there is such a thing as full custody in Texas. There is no full custody in Texas. What we call it is 95% of the time we do something called joint managing conservators. And so mommy and daddy make the decisions for the children in a nice collaborative way. Sole managing conservator means that one party makes all the decisions for the child. Educational, medical, counseling, makes where the child lives. That is sole managing conservator. So when people say full custody, I always want to ask them, not always want to ask them, I always ask them, what are you looking for? And they'll say, I want my son to live with me and he can only have visitation. Okay, that's not full custody because the dad is still seeing the child. So people tend to have that misnomer. And in Texas, it is presumed, not mommy or daddy, but that let's assume mommy gets custody, daddy will have visitation. And in Texas, if you live within 50 miles of each other, daddy's going to get 10 nights a month. So whenever people's come in here, typically, daddy, I want 50-50. I need you to think about what 50-50 is because you're fighting for 5 more nights a month. And I'm not saying it's much. It is. But you also have like Thanksgiving month, so the days are going to be off. You have Christmas, so the days are going to be off. January, spring break, the days are going to be off certain months anyway. So I tell them, think it through. No, I want the 50-50. Okay. And then a whole nother issue of whether child support comes up or not. And so there are some parties that will agree to 50-50. It's not too common. But whenever mommy has custody and daddy has the visitation of the 10 nights, then that's not full custody. So the term I think what some people are talking about are like CPS cases and child welfare cases where one of the parents did something horrible, sexually abused the child. Okay, we're terminating the abuser's relationship. You no longer see your child. You don't pay any child support for your child. Like you are a non-entity. You are out of the child's life. That is, quote, in my opinion, full custody because the other parent has nothing to do with the child. So you have full, all of it. I've seen people fight for full custody primarily with sexual abuse cases, with drug issues, it's difficult to say the word kidnapping, but I think people understand kidnapping. The technical term is interference with child custody cases. I've seen it maybe once or twice in cases where there's parental alienation, which means one of the parties is really doing a number on the kids and saying indirect comments sometimes. Sometimes it's just outright bad stuff about the other parent. And like, oh my God, your daddy was supposed to be here at 5 and he's not here. I guess he's with his girlfriend. That you just don't do that because you're now making the kid think that I'm less than whoever and my daddy doesn't love me as much as whoever. The kid will know that and the kid will decide that for themselves. There's no reason for the other parent to say it. So parental alienation is a big thing that comes up in child custody cases. It's a difficult thing to prove because typically the parent that is saying the bad things, either directly or indirectly, that child has bonded so much with that parent, that it's hard for them to say anything negative about that parent. So to really get a child to open up about it, you need a lot of counseling. And we have good counselors that can see through it and get it. You've had some counselors that, like the second or third session, like, Lucy, this is a clear case, or this is the worst case I've ever seen of, parental alienation. So that tends to be one of the big ones with child custody cases, where people say, no, like, he should not be around my child because, he tells my kid bad things about me and my boyfriend, or, whatever the case may be. But the other thing I tell people to keep in perspective again is, let's assume he doesn't get the 10 nights a month because he's saying bad things about mommy, daddy is. Well, daddy's still going to have some nights. And so it might not be 10 nights of bad things daddy's going to say, but it might be 5 nights of bad things daddy's going to say. So you're still going to have the issues of dealing with a child that is the victim of parental alienation. You're just going to have to be strong and being confident, and be sure to nurture that child and get them into the counseling, because no matter what, a bad parent's going to be a bad parent. I hope this has provided you with insights, comfort, and perhaps a new perspective on your own divorce experiences. Remember, you don't have to go through this alone. Join us next time as we continue to navigate the complexities of divorce together. Until then, take care and stay strong.